Hi everyone. I don't know how to say this, but I want to let people know that I'm a fan. It's so hard to say. I'm a fan of My Little Pony. I hope that doesn't sound too weird, okay? All right. I don't know how else to say it. How else am I supposed to say that I'm a fan of something like this, okay? I just hope I don't look weird. I hope nothing strange happens because I just announced this to the world. Hello, everybody. I didn't mean to freak you out with that. Oh, that's actually, I'm not a closeted fan who's buckling under pressure because, if anything, I am far from a closeted fan. I'm actually someone who is proud to say that I am not a brony, I am a 100% fan of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. Now, I want to make this little clip as short as possible because I just want this to be an introduction to this bigger video that I'm making here. My top 10 favorite episodes from Friendship is Magic Season 1. And I just want to give my feelings, my thoughts about the fact that My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is going to be ending soon, which is a big, big deal. And if you were to tell my younger self, the Daniel P. who got out of high school in 2007, and then he would later find out that he was going to be a fan of My Little Pony 4 years later, I would be laughing at myself really hard. I could not believe what I would be telling myself, what anyone would tell me. But I was really excited to see something like this on television because it had been a long time since we've seen an actual good cartoon show. And that, in fact, My Little Pony was part of this new wave of good shows coming back on television, which is another story in itself. But I actually got introduced to the show by word of mouth from a YouTube user called Golden Fox. And he gave a video he made a video where he talked about how good he thought the show was. And so, me being a fan of the animation medium, I felt like I was obliged to go check it out myself, and I loved it. And I haven't seen every season, every episode, but I do try to check them out when I can. And I also have my niece here who is also, I think she's a fan. Would you say you're a fan?
Yes,
yeah, she is
course.
because she watches it with me whenever she can, okay, she's a fan, another fan behind the camera. Okay, so just so you know.
Hi everyone.
So I just want to give a little kudos, a gift to My Little Pony and everything it's done for the people out there, and also to the amazing talent that has been behind the show and for making such a good show in the first place. So this is my gift to Friendship is Magic now that it is sadly ending now. And the only gift I can think of was to make a top 10 list of my personal favorite episodes from season 1. So I hope you enjoy it and wonder what the future will be for Pony. All we can do is watch and see.
Ghostbusters!
To be honest, Ghostbusters is not one of the great episodes from season 1. I will say it introduced Snips and Snails, who were kind of fun. We got a great animation moment when Twilight put the Ursa Minor to sleep. The end of the episode might comment that this story was all about Twilight. But what makes Ghostbusters really stand out and memorable is the first appearance of the great and powerful Trixie. Over time, Trixie has become a character that has made a surprising impression on fans and made her own little mark in the Friendship is Magic universe. This unicorn could have been destined to be a one-off character, but there was something interesting and intriguing about Trixie when she debuted. Trixie is an example of a character type who possesses small, rich details in her exhibition of character while not having a lot of background information to flesh her out. From her chic style appearance to her vivacious energy that gives Trixie her moxie attitude and female shine, shows that there's an exciting, likable side to Trixie. Then, when you get to the end of Ghostbusters, you see a Trixie who is contrary to the stage performer she was at the start of the show. We see Trixie being emotionally naked and vulnerable. So Trixie was not the complete, cocky, arrogant, self-centered pony all along. So why did Trixie have a two-faced problem in the first place? Well, that's the reason why Trixie is so intriguing. All of these nuances, along with her lively flair, show that Trixie had the potential to be a worthwhile character in My Little Pony. And it's good to know that the show has given that chance for Trixie to shine. I would also make the argument that Trixie has also had an impact on some future characters in My Little Pony as well. I would not be surprised if the aesthetics of Trixie lay the foundation for the likes of Sunset Simmer, Starlight Glimmer, and the Dazzlings. If you're a lone wolf diva, then I think you took some old tips from Trixie.
The Ticketmaster.
Having a good solid life lesson at the end of every show was one of the many tasks that Season 1 tried to carry out with every episode. Some lessons would display real Largos, ethos, and pathos, while also fitting nicely into the context of their respected story. Other times, there were lessons that had good meaning behind them, but those would end up in an episode with a shortcoming or two in the story. Despite being green as grass and only the second episode of Season 1, the Ticketmaster turned out to be successful in a few different areas. This is the first time we get to know the main six ponies on a personal level. We don't get really deep with them like we will with later episodes, but we get an understanding of what kind of characters these ponies are and what they want in their lives at this point. We also get introduced to the Grand Galloping Gala, the ultimate event that every pony in town looks forward to. With the exception of Twilight, we get to see what the other characters plan to do at the gala if they end up getting picked by Twilight. And I have to say that Rarity has the honor of having the best daydream moment in this episode. Most important of all is how the lesson of this episode is handled. No shortcomings in this story whatsoever. The Ticketmaster is all about the gala tickets testing Twilight's relationship with her new friends. She wants her friends to be happy, and she has the means to do it, but she doesn't want any one of her friends to be left out. At the end of the day, Twilight believes that if she has to make a choice and can't take all of her friends to the gala, then she will not go to the gala at all, choosing to spend her time with her friends over the biggest events in Ponyville. But wait! Due to Twilight's pledge to honor her friendship over anything else, she and the other 5 girls get tickets for the gala, and everything is right in the world. So the whole group could not go all together. Why? All 6 of them did save the world from the Devil Moon Pony, so why shouldn't they get some kind of reward for their efforts? When the show handled these kinds of life lessons in Friendship is Magic and executed them properly, the audience at home would take notice and take the lesson to heart. No matter if it was young kids or grown adults, those members in the audience understood that a real-world lesson was trying to be conveyed to them. And from that point on, fans knew that the logos, ethos, and pathos of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, was very real.
Dragonshy.
I remember watching an old video that took place at some convention years ago. Nothing more than a few adult pony fans talking about the show. At the end of this video, these pony fans talked about the top 3 pony characters that the public seemed to like the most at the time. If I remember right, I think Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash was part of that list. I do know for sure that Fluttershy's name was brought up when talking about this list. After seeing the episode Dragonshy, I can understand why fans adore Fluttershy after her first few appearances in Season 1. Out of all of the main characters in the show, Fluttershy was the one personality that showed more flaws and vulnerability than anyone else. That's not to say that other characters didn't have their own moments of doubt and pain, but it seemed like Fluttershy was the type of character that lived in her own little adolescent world. She didn't have to prove her self-worth to anyone in order to feel like she had a place in the world. Peace of mind seemed to be more important for Fluttershy, and she found that with the caring of cute little animals. I think a lot of people could identify with Fluttershy's state of mind. As a young person, you don't think you have something to give to the world at large. You're still trying to find out what kind of person you are. What are your strengths and weaknesses? At the same time, you search for things that will make you happy and bring you your own peace of mind. Trying to be as conflict-free as possible, because that's the last thing you need in your life as it is. Besides being a great thrill adventure theme episode, Dragonshy would be one of those cornerstone episodes for Fluttershy's character. Of course, there's the golden moment where Fluttershy gives Smug the dragon the stare to ultimately calm the situation down. It shows why Fluttershy, being the representation of kindness, is so important to the grand scheme of the My Little Pony universe. If other characters fail at solving a personal conflict, everyone looks to Fluttershy to sort out the peace in that conflict, and that's believable to other characters in the show because of Fluttershy's altruistic attitude. This makes her role as a main 6 character very significant despite her own shyness and flaws. I would also give a tip of the hat to Megan McCartney's writing in Dragonshy. It's a tight script from beginning to end, and her writing makes every second count in the show. Just when you think a certain moment is going to slow things down, turns out to be taking its time and staying within the tempo of the episode.
Call of the Cutie.
I have seen a lot of episodes that focused on the Cutie Mark Crusaders. I never mind the Cutie Mark Crusaders as characters. Come to think of it, I can't really think of a Cutie Mark Crusader episode I didn't like. Believe it or not, I had never seen the first Cutie Mark Crusaders episode, Call of the Cutie, until I got my own copy of Friendship is Magic Season 1 on DVD. How did I miss this episode? I don't know. After seeing Call of the Cutie for the first time, I liked it so much I thought it should be part of this list. Why? This is an episode that is just exploding with cuteness. I can't help but love the little kid characters that we get to see here. Except for Diamond Tiara and Silver Spoon, of course. I like Apple Bloom's friend Twist in this episode. What an odd yet funny little character this Twist is. Especially that little kid lips that Twist has. Oh, that's kind of hard to say. Try to say that 5 times fast. Then there's Apple Bloom herself. There is so much to like about Apple Bloom, and not just for her cute moments. She goes through a real life dilemma that kids experience all the time. Peer pressure. Some kids think that if they don't make friends at a young age, then they might not make any friends at all. Like, never, ever, forever. So Apple Bloom tries as hard as she can to get her cutie mark because she doesn't want to be left out of her young social group of young ponies. But even without a cutie mark of her own, Apple Bloom still finds a social group of her own at the end of the day, teaming up with Scootaloo and Sweetie Belle to create, well, you know. For the longest time, Sweetie Belle was always my favorite Cutie Mark Crusader, but now I think Apple Bloom has won me over as my favorite Cutie Mark Crusader.
I believe what makes Apple Bloom so lovable is the way Michelle Creeber portrays her character. Michelle Creeber gives just the right amount of sugar, spice, and everything nice to Apple Bloom. But it also feels like she gives Apple Bloom a little more dimension as well. Apple Bloom is not just a little kid that is going through the motions. She ponders and deals with situations that have some weight to them and also long-term effects. Situations that could have significant effects on her personal life. That's why Apple Bloom always has this impulsive feeling to act and to act now. I have yet to see all the episodes that deal with the Cutie Mark Crusaders, but even after I have seen all of them personally, I have the feeling that Call of the Cutie will still be my personal favorite Cutie Mark Crusaders episode.
Party of One.
If Dragonshy was a cornerstone episode for Fluttershy's character, then the same could be said for Pinkie Pie's character in the episode Party of One. Pinkie Pie's personality went through different changes over the course of the show. Sometimes her character went to crazy extreme levels of zaniness. Other times she was played just for laughs. It was a rare thing to see Pinkie Pie grow as a character in the show, and it happened rarely. Just like Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie is another one of those adolescent individuals. She more or less lives in her own little world. She doesn't have to answer to the demands that an adult would have to answer to. But at some points, Pinkie Pie would encounter that kind of world as time went on, with some episodes here and there showcasing a more older and wiser Pinkie Pie. Party of One was the first time Pinkie Pie had to deal with sophisticated personal drama. What's most impressive about the episode to me is how the show is able to make you relate to Pinkie Pie's story and to make you truly care for Pinkie's well-being too. The moment when she really believes that her friends don't care for her, her happy look transforms into that colorless look of depression. That moment gets me every single time. This is an example when the show really touches a nerve with everyone in the audience, both kids and adults alike. The theme of having doubt in your relationship with your family, friends, or the people in your life, especially if those people make you the person who you are, well, that's a feeling that people like to call the Jimmy Stewart blues. And it's a feeling that everybody goes through. Everybody. The episode also has a great moment of animation for me. When Pinkie Pie wants to know what's going on in the barn and Applejack won't let her in to see what's going on, it's a nice back and forth between Pinkie and AJ, and it's all done with their facial expressions and no words. Then there is, of course, the freak-out moment that Pinkie has near the end of the episode. Fans always like to point that moment out for its comedy side. Yes, it is funny, but I also can't help but feel sad for Pinkie at that moment as well. Talk about an episode where all the story elements fall into place and makes the moral of the story come full circle. All the drama and emotion that comes from this episode. A Pinkie Pie episode, for crying out loud. But yet, man, what an experience.
Dog and Pony Show.
Most of a Dog and Pony Show plays as a mild adventure story, mainly from Spike's point of view, full of fun, colorful, lighthearted moments. I just love that kind of material. Then there is our real star of the show, the reason why fans keep coming back to a Dog and Pony Show again and again, and that would be the one and only Rarity. Oh boy, there is so much I can say about Rarity. A lot of things when it comes to this character, but let me just talk about a few things regarding Rarity. I believe that Rarity's character has played a significant role in the grand scheme of Friendship is Magic, something that fans tend to overlook when talking about characters making a strong impact on the audience. When Lauren Faust and her team of artists revolutionized My Little Pony, they made a new kind of pony. It was much more thoughtfully crafted, had sharper screenplays, had a stylish look, had characters that were interesting and developed despite their screen time. And it was a new kind of show that was made for all ages. Lauren also wanted to make sure that her main cast of characters would be appreciated not just for who they were as characters, but also for what they are. 100% female. Lauren wanted to make a show that wasn't about girl power, but to prove that feminine elements and attitudes could have real value and could be relatable. The show was never self-conscious of this, but it was always there. It was part of the core of the show. So what makes Rarity a bit special in the story? At the end of the day, Rarity is the one character in the show that embodies the Lauren Faust's feminine vision more than any other character. Not only does Rarity wear her femininity on her sleeves and shows pride in being a female, she also proved that you can have an unapologetic feminine personality and still be an interesting, sophisticated character that fans could relate to and embrace. And Rarity ends up showing all of those character habits in a dog and pony show. She uses her pride as a lady, a little bit of class, and also being a bit of an overdramatic diva to get herself out of her murky situation and overcome the Diamond Dogs. This is also another episode to showcase how funny Rarity can be, unintentional or not. And Rarity having humor was crucial for her character to have. Without it, she would be a total vanity girl that would make herself too serious and be full of herself, unintentionally becoming the one-dimensional female cliche that Lauren Faust wanted Rarity to avoid for the show. I think it's important for a likable character to have some kind of humor because it makes them more human to us. And good to know that Rarity doesn't have that problem. When all is said and done, depending on your love for Rarity will depend on how much you like a dog and pony show. As for me, I like it a lot.
Winter wrap up.
Now would be a good time to talk about the creative team behind the show with this episode pick. And I don't mean the voice talent. Something that has always been impressive about Friendship is Magic is how the visual, musical, and story artists are able to give this show a feeling of epic scale from time to time. Despite being a television show, Friendship is Magic has had some episodes that have displayed grand cinematic moments and motifs. As time went on, it seemed that the show incorporated more and more cinematic styles for small and big episodes. If the show looked and felt amazing in the beginning, then it got more dazzling with each new season. That always made me wonder why a movie version of Pony just wasn't done in the style of the TV show. The style of the show turned out to be so good that it probably was close to a flawless style. Just make a longer version of the TV show if you wanted to make a movie. That's all. Winter Wrap-Up is definitely one of those episodes that has that grand feel of epic proportion to it. Heck, you just have to look at it to get that point across. By having all of these characters in the episode take part in a Winter Wrap-Up, and knowing how important and urgent the changing of the seasons is in Ponyville, is what gives an episode like this more kinetic drama than your typical episode. Then there is the Winter Wrap-Up song as well. A song that is so catchy that you might be stuck with it all day if you just sing a few bars of it. And we can't sing that right now anyway because it's July. This episode is also able to make me enjoy the struggle and silly antics of Twilight. The story actually makes good use of Twilight's character and had her play an important role that made good use of her skills as a team leader. I really have to tip my hat off when it comes to Twilight's character in this episode. I say that because, honestly, I'm not a big fan of Twilight Sparkle. But this episode also made me realize that Twilight just might have the cutest screams when she freaks out. Winter Wrap-Up still stands as one of the great highlights of Season 1.
Suited for success.
After watching Suited for Success, three thoughts automatically came to mind. What a visual treat this episode is! 50% of this episode really shines from all of the images and visual styles that is put on display here. This is such a great example of how the creative team of Pony uses the animation media to stunning use. How could you not be swept away by these fantastic moments of visual art come to life? I sure hope all those Flash animators got paid overtime for all of that work that they did. I wouldn't be surprised if it did take them a while to do all that work. Then there is the musical work of Daniel Ingram that plays a very strong role in Suited for Success. I noticed that when a major emotional moment was going on for one of the characters, or a major plot point happens, the music was conveying the drama in the scene along with said character or moment. The music was so intertwined into the plot that it really does move the story along and was not just there to be flashy or a gimmick. I also noticed this interesting mixing of music and dialogue in the episode. The music didn't play throughout the whole episode, only when a major moment happens. It made the parts with the dialogue stand out a lot more than usual, and I think it made you pay a little more close attention to the acting from the actors this time around. When the ponies speak to one another, nothing else happens. This may be hard to explain, but just watch the episode yourself to see what I mean. Yet again, we must talk about Rarity and her charming appeal this time around. Before this episode, Rarity had given some fun moments here and there, while also showing how much dimension and liveliness her feminine side had. Suited for Success would display more of Rarity's who factor, what kind of personality she was beyond the feminine flair. What did she want in life? What were her passions? This episode showed us that Rarity was one of those struggling artists. She does have the skills to make a great dress, but was Rarity wrong for not making the dresses that her friends wanted? Or were her friends overlooking the fact that the dresses were made for a group event, the gala, not for their own personal interests? And seriously, when you end up having the second versions of those dresses that the ponies have near the end of the episode, that's when you need quality control to come in, aka Rarity. So in the end, Rarity stands for her artistic ground and doesn't let her original vision of the dresses disappear. Even though she does want her friends to be happy, the other ponies let go of their idea of what's best for their dress after seeing what they did to Rarity. So the real artist is able to step back in, and everybody agrees that what is best for everyone in this situation. And Rarity's vision wins out in the end. I think Suited for Success was the episode that made Rarity's character come full circle. After this, we now know who Rarity really was, much more than the grand feminine spirit or element of generosity.
Sonic Rain Boom!
Now that I'm talking about Sonic Rain Boom on this list, I can talk a little about Rainbow Dash in one of her great episodes. When you look at the history of someone like Rainbow Dash, I can't help but feel a little bit sad for Rainbow Dash and the way her character has been handled as time has gone on. It seems that out of all of the main 6 characters, Rainbow Dash was the one character that had a hard time progressing as a personality. Maybe it was hard for the writers to do anything new with Rainbow Dash, but I was tired of seeing Rainbow Dash being so egocentric all the time and every other episode that was about her. Now, the main 6 do from time to time deal with plots that clashes with their harmony elements and what it stands for, testing the main 6 duty and morals. But sometimes Rainbow Dash would be so unlikable and inconsistent with her own history as a character that it would just be annoying. The reason I say all of this is because Rainbow Dash has had some great moments that make her a fun and likable pony. And in this episode, we get to see a fun-loving Rainbow Dash. In this episode, we see something that we hardly get to see. A Rainbow Dash that has insecurities and worries about her own skills as a Pegasus. I know, Shock of all shocks! A Rainbow Dash that doesn't just boast about how great she is. By having the rest of the main six being there for Dash and for her contest show, puts an emphasis on how important it is for Rainbow Dash to have personal support from the others. We even see Dash trying to get support from Fluttershy in the beginning of the episode. All of this goes to show that our main characters are not perfect. They struggle and have their own personal dilemmas from time to time. One thing I like about Rainbow Dash is her enthusiasm to live life day by day and seeking the best highs that you can get in life. But sometimes Dash has to take things step by step, or else she would crash and burn. So having friends around her to tell her to slow down and take life easy when you should is so important for Rainbow Dash to remember. And it would also be important for Dash to remember that you always can't do everything by yourself. A lesson that probably sticks with Rainbow Dash a lot more than it ever did with Applejack. Then there are the glorious moments that happen in this episode. The same praise I gave to Suited for Success would also apply with Sonic Rainboom. It's a wonderful, grand scale episode with a little bit of an epic style mixed in. Cloudsdale just might be my favorite pony environment that we see when it comes to the world building aspect of the show. I like it when Rainbow Dash freaks out as a fangirl at the end with her "oh my gosh" comment on repeat. You have Fluttershy, who gives one of her funniest highlight reels in any episode. And how can you not love Fluttershy in this episode? And then there's a moment at the end when Rainbow Dash saves the falling ponies from their doom and also does her Sonic Rainboom in the process. At that moment, I am filled with the same joy and excitement that Fluttershy has. And not just for that moment, but for the episode as a whole. If I had to point to an episode of Pony that was close to a roller coaster ride, then this would be it. And not just a thrill-seeker type of ride, but an emotional kind as well.
The best night ever!
Like, forever, ever?
Yeah!
I believe when someone talks about the best of the best, the Alpha and Omega, the very best episodes of Season 1, I would point to the episodes that I have in the top 3 spots on this list. These 3 episodes represent what makes Friendship is Magic such a great experience when every element of the show brings out its best effort. Eye-catching visuals that make you say, wow. Well-written stories that take the audience on a fun and fancy-filled adventure. Having characters that express the same kinds of wonders and obstacles that we, the audience, deal with in our day-to-day lives. And then, if we're fortunate enough, we can get a cheerful song that makes our hearts flutter with a million different kinds of happiness. My number 1 pick for this list, The Best Night Ever, is just as fantastic as Sonic Rainboom or Suited for Success, but it has something more to it. When I talk about episodes having a grand, epic feeling to them, The Best Night Ever is the ultimate epic episode of Season 1. Every great aspect about Season 1 is embodied in this episode. From the visuals of the show, the writing, the music, and the story concept for the main 6 characters to deal with. This might be an odd thing to say, but I would recommend this episode for a first-time viewer of Friendship is Magic. It's odd that I would tell someone to watch the last episode in the season, but I think The Best Night Ever is so well made that I don't think that first-time viewer would mind it. This episode also has the honor for probably being the best season finale episode in My Little Pony. Other season finales that came after this one always seem to be trying to be more explosive, bigger, and add more spectacle. Compare Best Night Ever to those other final episodes, and it feels that Best Night Ever comes off being very quaint. Best Night Ever was also the season finale that had a proper build-up leading to it. 2 episodes on this list, The Ticketmaster and Suited for Success, gave some foreshadowing that fit nicely into the grand scheme of Season 1. And we can't talk about a season finale without talking about the spectacle of the episode. I think the spectacle of Best Night Ever is handled perfectly. Every big and little moment in the episode doesn't feel underwhelming, overwhelming, or out of place. The creative staff finds the right sweet spot for the spectacle element in this episode. And that's really impressive since there's something interesting happening all the time in Best Night Ever. Then there is the main 6 characters themselves. Just like the ponies, the audience is just as excited and wondering what the gala is going to be like. We have been hyped throughout season 1 to see what is going to happen to the main 6 when they are finally at the gala. So you might think that the main 6 might get what they really want, living the dream that all 6 ponies have talked about in previous episodes. But no. This episode turns the ponies and the audience's expectations upside down. Turns out the gala was not going to be the ultimate daydream come true, so things look sad for our main 6. But because we have grown with these characters and know that they try to be the best, kind-hearted ponies that they can be, we still want to see them overcome and be rewarded at the gala, because we know that they deserve it. But in the end, nothing turns out well for any of the main 6, except for Spike. I guess the lesson to be learned in this episode is that you shouldn't take some high expectations to heart when it fails to meet your personal satisfaction. Yes, it is a big moment in your life, but it will not be the first or last big moment in your life. When I was watching the episodes on DVD, I would check out the commentary track if the episode had one. I think it's easy to say that the cast and crew that took part in these commentary tracks had the most fun with Best Night Ever. Now, let's move on to some of my favorite moments. I love At the Gala song a lot. You really have to give a hand to all of the artists who worked on that particular part of the episode. It is a great, grand achievement. Rainbow Dash once again gives us a moment where she's acting like a fangirl for the Wonderbolts. I love Dash's quiet scream that she does, and I think it's one of the best Rainbow Dash moments of all time. Then there's Rarity, who gets angry and frustrated because she doesn't get what she wants, and it makes me sad to see Rarity sad, because I just want the best for her. You know, maybe if she left that glass slipper behind, maybe some other pony, the right kind of guy, would have found it, and then Rarity would have ended up with the guy for dreams. Oh, Rarity, will you ever settle down? I must also give my sympathy to Fluttershy and her situation. All the girl wanted to do is just be around the animals, and they give Fluttershy such a hard time. Maybe it's because they don't want to be bothered with, but Fluttershy just won't say no. It turns Fluttershy into a raving pony that just wants to love animals, and she's making all the animals afraid of her. Just look at those little terrified faces. Oh, it's just too much to bear. I'm sorry that you ended up being crazy at the end of the night, Fluttershy. Best wishes for you too. After seeing all of that, I don't think I have anything else to say. That is my top 10 list of my favorite episodes from season 1 of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic. Well, one last thing I would like to say is thank you. For everyone who has been a part of Friendship is Magic and has made this show a reality. This is my little tribute to the show, since it is ending with its 9th and final season. Friendship is Magic has been a wonderful experience. In an age when well-crafted, inspiring works of art in any media is hard to come by these days, it's a good thing to know that we have a source of inspiration to look to in the form of My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic.